Anime, a style of animation originating in Japan that is characterized by stark, colorful graphics depicting vibrant characters and action-filled plots, often with fantastic or futuristic themes. Over the course of my 23-year-old life, I've had the chance to embellish myself in the culture of the Japanese art and enjoy it for both the craze and the art aesthetic. However, one must wonder, how is this globally renowned animation taking over the world by storm? It's practically everywhere. Everyone knows a Pokemon whether they watch the show or not. Most people can name a Dragon Ball Z character. But why is it so popular? What makes people love to dress up and cosplay and love the lifestyle of an anime fan? My name is N.Harmonix, and I'm going to introduce you to a world that is always around us, yet understood by few, an Otaku wave of the aesthetic. Anime was first born to the world during the early 1900s when film was a silent craze that began taking the populace of Japan to new heights of pop culture. The visuals beginnings stem all the way back to the dates of the 12th century and up to the 19th century, known as the Edo period, in which its mother art, manga, books with Japanese-influenced cartooning, was distributed as Japanese literature. These books, despite cartoonish nature, did not necessarily appeal to children, but focused heavily on themes of comedy, adventure, and Buddhist principle.
Anime is the animated version of manga. So manga are native Japanese comic books. They are serialized, meaning that they come out every week.
By World War II, these books were animated by using techniques such as drawing character animation on dartboards with white chalk and rubbing out certain movements on the drawings to create motion between camera shots. Two artists known as the fathers of anime, Oten Shimokawa and Junichi Koichi, perfected these techniques and cut the cost of production, which would normally be higher due to the import of celluloid to anime. Sadly, during events such as the Great Earthquake of 1923, and as well as the bombings of World War II, much of the animation that would be created was lost to destruction. While significant losses were suffered for animators during the bombings, World War II encouraged the Japanese to use anime as a way to promote propaganda to increase the war effort. Animators were being paid by the government to create educational films for citizens and youth while advertising was used for commercial companies. With this payout, animation teams were able to afford more expensive means of animation. The likes are seen here in Momotaro's Divine Sea Warriors, funded by the Japanese Naval Ministry.
It's an interesting style of animation because it was developed very quickly, like a lot of things in post-World War II Japan. So it's like it gets all the highlights of Western and Eastern influence, and then sort of at a rocket pace, sort of turned into a very popular style of cartoon and comic book.
These 20 years also saw the rise of another powerhouse, in that of Osamu Tezuka, the god of manga, who left Toei Animation to build his own production company and create shows that would cross the country's borders with animation for television blocks, with a new technique known as limited animation. Limited animation utilized taking animations that had previously been used and placing them in similar positions on the same cells for continuous use. Tezuka would use this technique to release a smash hit in his show, Astro Boy. The 80s saw the golden age of anime take its pinnacle with public releases for Toei Animation's Dragon Ball, the beginning of Studio Ghibli, and the rise of science fiction with mech or robot titles such as Mobile Suit Gundam. Despite producing changes in narrative as well as a broadening of audience, Japan shocked the world with Katsuhiro Otomo's film, Akira. Akira would become a very well-known name in the anime world for 4 reasons. As opposed to using 8 frames per second, for animation it used 24 frames and CGI to bring the post-apocalyptic Neo-Tokyo to life. Secondly, Otomo had a dialogue for the film pre-recorded for animators to build the characters around the voice actors and actresses.
Tetsuo! 大丈夫か? 助けに来たぞ. 早くしろよ、バカ! 急がないと外の奴らが.
With a budget at 1.1 billion yen, or $8 million, the powerhouse would go on to make back $49 million worldwide after being turned down by both Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, who felt that the film would not have a place in the West. Lastly, Akira was the anime title to shake the animation world upside down by introducing more violent and gory subject matter to its audiences, which would strongly oppose the playful and childlike nature of its predecessors, to which the likes of the West had never seen before. There was no safe Disney forest to run to, no kind-hearted fairy to wish everything away, only pure, unadulterated Japanese anime showing the harsh reality of a dystopian future.
Kaneda, help, please!
During the 90s, the Japanese market saw a crash due to fluctuation of the economy, and animation studios suffered heavily. However, the popularity began to pick back up fruition with a resurgence of the mech art style with titles such as Neon Evangelion Genesis and Mobile Suit Gundam Wing. Pokemon, a widely popular video game for Nintendo's Game Boy, will become a titan franchise with both a television show and a merchandise sale that would push it to the top of history's greatest with a revenue generation of $61.1 billion worldwide. While Japan had TV Tokyo for broadcasting anime to the public, American audiences would get introduced to a heavily based anime block known as Toonami. Debuting on Cartoon Network in 1997, Toonami was a late-night segment dedicated to embracing the teenage youth.
The Toonami lineup. So I was watching Dragon Ball Z, Gundam Wing. I watched Big O, which is not one people bring up as much, but like, you know, Tenchi Muyo, Yu Yu Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin, the action stuff they would bring over first.
It is here that for the first time in the West, shows such as Sailor Moon, Mobile Suit Gundam, Dragon Ball Z would get a major spotlight to shine in as people all across the world would indulge in the culture. It was here also that the majority of the popularity from a survey I conducted, consisting of 65 people of various ages, recognized the anime from this time period, leading me to an answer to my original question. Why anime? What is so special?
Anime got me into K-pop or J-pop, to the point where it also say like, if I don't know it, then it's great because then they show it to me, and then I just completely go up above and just, now I'm going to conventions and stuff like that because it's just so much that I want to learn from, and every time I go to it, I always find a new show that I always just like start watching and just end up loving.
I feel proud to be a part of, I feel proud to adopt something that's not inherent to where I was born and raised at.
And that's what makes it special. Its influence not only visually, but economically, socially, and emotionally stimulates people who live inside and outside of Japan. The people who create anime and those who keep its legacy alive by watching it integrate it within their very being. We all share a common factor in the grander scheme of things, right? By culturally taking this art and adding it to our own canvases.
Well, cosplay is basically, for lack of better words, dressing up, to be your favorite character, to put your spin on your favorite character, to bring your character to life.
the more I got into it, the more I realized that it was more of like a way for me to express myself.
Just the other day at work, I was some kind of forest fairy thing with bright silver roses that I pretty much glued together on an old cape I had and wore it to work in public around people. So I thought I looked good, so you can't tell me nothing. And I feel like once someone really gets into anime and finds their niche, you can't tell them nothing.
This has been and is the wave of the aesthetic from one otaku to the next. I thank you all for watching this. Once again, my name is N.Harmonix, and this has been Otaku, Wave of the Aesthetic.